Hello, 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 jammers, and welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast, Jam Sessions. Darcy, hello.
Hello, hello.
Another week spent together. Always a lovely one.
Absolutely.
We've got a pretty cool guest this week on Zoom. It's been a while since we've had to do this, but she's not here. Why don't you tell our guests a little bit about, or not our guests, tell our listeners about our guests. Listen to me, I can't talk.
Well, I have to say that I'm a little embarrassed in this case because I was unaware of today's guest until recently. I actually first became aware of the Making Waves Festival. What was that, about like a month and a half ago, when she was performing with the Monowhales, and I was like, "Who's that on the stage?" It was somebody I was unfamiliar with, and discovered that she's actually from New Glasgow, like us.
New Glasgow High Bum, I think.
So today we're going to learn a little bit about Gina Kennedy.
That's right. Welcome to the show, Gina.
Woo, thanks so much for having me.
Hey, buddy. We really appreciate you taking the time out to come and chat with us on this, what is it, Wednesday or whatever weird day it is?
Yeah. Who knows? Time is a concept.
It's just a construct, man.
Construct. Yeah, exactly. That's the one.
So let's start off. You went to New Glasgow High.
I did. Yeah.
You graduated when?
I graduated in 2005. So I actually started in New Glasgow High, and then we got moved to the super school. Right. So I graduated from North Nova.
So you're a Griffin.
Yeah. I like to say I have a Panther at heart, but
yeah, exactly. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then after high school, what happened? What did Gina do?
Yeah. So Gina did the route that most people do, that a lot of people do, or were pressured to do, and went to university. So I actually went to the music program at Acadia for 2 years, and then I need to spend all this money and do the thing. I got what I needed from this. So I moved to Halifax and I wanted to be a rock star. So I started playing music professionally just in the Halifax scene, and I was only 19 at the time. So I picked up a job at a bar called the Poke Fido. It's not there anymore, but it used to be on Barrington Street. Right. But I actually, the reason why I got the job is I actually auditioned with my guitar and they were just like, we need creative people. So I played there every now and again. And then I also served, and it was kind of a strange way to get a job, but and then I worked at the dinner theater there for a while and just kind of played shows with people, and then I was there for about 4 years, just kind of trying to make a name for myself. And then I met a bunch of people from Toronto, and they were just like, you should go there's lots of stuff for artists. So that's what I did, and then that was about 10 years ago, so I've been here ever since.
Wicked. So where did your love of music first come from while you were still here on the East Coast? Where did that kind of spawn from?
Yeah, totally. So my mother loves to say that she caught me teaching myself piano when I was like 1,
oh, wow.
which I know, which I don't think I think she's exaggerating a little bit. I was probably like 4 or something, but my older brother was taking piano lessons, and I always wanted to do everything that he wanted to do. So I just would take his books and self-teach out of the books, and because they're really easy when you're just learning. Mm-hmm. So I think it was just kind of in me. My parents don't really play music at all. But my grandmother did, who lived next door to me. So she very much fostered my love of music. And then my aunt, my dad's sister, she also was, she's actually a professional bagpiper. So I know, so she was really stoked that I was into music as well. And so, and then, I went all through the phases of learning piano, and then I started singing, and then actually going to church and stuff. That was a big my organist at my church was my piano teacher. So that, okay. I'm not big on religion and stuff, but it was actually a really great way to start my music journey, especially in a small town. I feel like that's kind of a place where that can, foster some real creativity in young kids, coming up in small towns. And
for sure, I can definitely relate to that as well.
Right.
I'm a singer, and it was church that I started singing in front of people, and you don't clap in church, but then they clapped, and I was like, I need more.
I know. It's that did something, that clicked something in my brain. Yeah, totally. Right. So that's kind of where I got my start. And then I got older, you know, started listening to Hole, and like I saw all these like women rockers, and I was like, oh my God, like, and like, you know, Avril Lavigne and like Alanis Morissette, and you know, these awesome women rockers, and I was just like, that's me, like I need to do that. So I taught myself how to play guitar, and yeah, and it just went from there.
So you get a couple behind you there.
Just a couple.
So let's for the people that can't see this because they're listening on the show, she has got a whole rack of guitars and basses and everything else behind her. So let me throw a question at you here before I let Darcy take the wheel for a little bit. If your house was on fire right now and you could only grab one of those axes behind you, which one would it be?
It would probably be this one right here. So this is my Fender P bass. It's a custom build from 76, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is a very, very special piece that I have in my home. I actually have a lot of really nice pieces in here. My partner is also a music producer, and he's in a band with me called Altered by Mom. Okay. So yeah, but I think this one is the dearest to my heart.
Awesome. Good answer.
Thanks.
So coming up through high school, were you involved in the local music programs and everything like?
Oh yeah. I was Mr. and Mrs. Alcorn saw me every day. So I was in all that stuff growing up. So all the choirs and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely Robin and I are good. A lot
of our guests have actually
gone through the Alcorn School of Music.
Yeah.
It is the Alcorn School of Music. Yeah, totally. Yeah, they were great. I mean, they were so wonderful, both of them. And even now, like I still keep in touch with them. Like whenever I'm doing something cool, you know, Janice will always pop on Facebook and is like, "You're doing so great." So
very supportive.
It's always very nice.
For sure.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So when you moved to the city and you were playing around there, was it mostly solo stuff, or were you in a couple different bands, or?
Yeah, totally. So I just I never really had like my own band. I didn't really ever get anything off the ground. Like I was just kind of playing solo stuff, and you know, at Beerley's, like I would join into their little jams and stuff that they had because I had friends working, and you know, I played a couple shows at the Attic just with like some pals, and so no bands that like ever got off the ground or anything, but yeah, just mostly under my own name, and just like cover bands and things like that. Yeah.
So the Altered by Mom, which I actually met you when you performed down at the Monarch. So
you did, yeah.
That's you and your partner. So
that's right.
Did that start when you first moved to Ontario, or did that happen a little bit later?
Yeah, so I was still doing solo stuff when I moved to Ontario. So I moved here in about like 2012 or so. And then I met my partner at a music party because I was working on the radio. Actually, I was working at Sirius XM. And yeah, I met him, and he was just like this cool guy who played all this music, and him and I just really clicked as pals, and he was friends with all my friends, and he would always come to Toronto and stuff. So he was showing me some of the songs that he wrote, and I was like, oh, these are amazing. And so he moved to the city a couple years later, around like 2014 or so, and he was showing me these songs, and he was like, yeah, I don't have a band to play these with though. And I was like, oh my God, like let's start a band, let's do this, like these songs are so good. And then he was really liking a lot of the stuff that I had written, so yeah, we just joined together and started playing as Altered by Mom in 2015, and we've been doing it ever since.
Cool. And last year, I guess, was a pretty significant
year
for the band with 52 songs in 52 years. Or 50, so.
Dude,
yeah, 52 years would have been nice.
High five from me to you on that one. Wow, what an accomplishment.
Thank you so much.
You know, just writing 52 songs alone.
Yeah.
You know, over X amount of time, who, you know, again, it's a construct, it doesn't matter, but to do that once every week without fail. I mean, we do it with the show, so I can kind of relate in that, but you're creating something whole and brand new, whereas we kind of follow a format. Mm-hmm. So we have a little bit of a scapegoat and, you know, a little bit of an excuse there is that we can kind of follow that format. But what you guys were doing is writing completely different songs every week. So where were you pulling your inspiration from that? And I guess the real question here is, as a songwriter, how the fuck do I do it?
Well, a global pandemic and nothing to do definitely helps. It was supposed to be a lot more impressive because we actually decided to do it before the pandemic happened. And I will say probably the first 10 songs, we already had something written. We just had to kind of finish them. So we had a bit of a buffer. So we had these songs and then we kind of started building from there. But yeah, it definitely was a challenge for sure. It definitely challenged me in my songwriting and also in how precious we are with our music. You know, it's kind of like, it's, you know, when to know it's done kind of thing. You know, it's that perfectionism that you always want with your art and like releasing it out into the world. It's like, oh God, like I could have had another week or two with this and made it so much better, but like be less precious with it, just get it out there. And, you know, honestly, like I'm proud of every piece of music that we released. You know, some of them are definitely like radio hits and some of them are definitely not, but I think that let us stretch our creative muscles so much more. And as a band, we broadened our scope so much wider than what we were before. Like a lot of people kind of put us in a box of like an alt pop band or like, you know, like a 90s alternative band. And we're definitely not that anymore. You know, we blew that wide open. So, you know, we have some pop songs, we have like wild instrumental things, we have like really cool, like intricate jazz math rock songs, like, yeah. So, I mean, anybody can really do it. I mean, it just depends on how precious you are with your music before you release it, right? And I'm lucky that my partner Devin is a producer, so we could just do everything at home, which is definitely, you know, a leg up that we have over maybe some people who don't have a professional studio in their house, you know. So that was definitely something that we had in our pocket, and we just kind of decided to put it to good use. And honestly, it really grew my skills as a songwriter as well, because we did do a couple of co-writes, and we also got to work with Nigel Pulsford of Bush X, which was kind of a bucket list thing. So like a lot of really great stuff happened. We got placed in Kim's Convenience twice. You know, we got our song placed on TV and stuff, and you know, Q104 played one of our songs, and you know, so it opened. I'm so glad we did it. Like when we first started doing it, I was just like, oh my God, like, are we making a huge mistake? Cause like Spotify doesn't like when you release a song every week. No. So we didn't get on a lot of playlists and stuff because of that, because the algorithm doesn't work that way. Right. But it was kind of beautiful in that way. It was kind of like we rejected that culture and just let the art speak for itself.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
What? Go ahead.
People can, anyone listen to this that wants to hear some of that, it's on Bandcamp, is that correct?
It's everywhere. Yeah.
It's everywhere. It's Spotify.
Yeah. Yeah. All that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Is there any particular songs you recommend or something that you're proud of where it kind of took the band outside of the regular demographic that maybe you might?
Totally. Yeah. If you want kind of a really bizarre tune, there's one called If I Could Still Love You. That's very David Bowie-esque, which I really like. There's also one called Tunes, Moves, Tricks, and Fun. That's kind of like a funk song.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I have a really kind of slow ballady song called Bones that I really like. And it's kind of just like a very quiet, bare bones kind of song that I really love. So yeah, those are a couple favorites.
What was the hardest part of that 52-week process? What was that one song that was kind of that thorn in your side that was really hard to flesh out?
Definitely. It's less that there was one song and more of the whole thing. Like once we got, it was actually a lot easier than I had figured it was. Like there was never a moment where we were just like, oh God, what did we release this week? But there were moments where we're like, where do we go with this song? And also there was a bit of fatigue, I would say, like songwriter fatigue. Like definitely, yeah, like from week like 40 on, you know, we'd get really great weeks where we'd have like 3 songs in the bank. Like we'd do 3 songs in that week and then we'd be good for a while. And then, you know, one day we would just be like, it's just this second verse. Like there's a song, Catch and Release, and we just couldn't figure out a second verse to it. And we were just like, what do we do? And honestly, like we just went with the path of the least resistance. And I think it turned out to be a really great song now. And then in another tune, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but there's 3 key changes in it. And that's what we did instead of like figuring out, you know, what kind of bridge should we throw in and stuff like that. So it was actually like a really good, I'm really proud of us because it opened my eyes to different routes that you can take your music as opposed to just being like verse, chorus, bridge, you know, pre-chorus and out or whatever. Right. So that was, you know, in the moment, like there were some tears for sure in the moment of like stress and being like, I can't believe we're going to release this. But I'm so proud of everything that we did. And I'm really glad that we have all these songs now in our arsenal.
No kidding. If you wanted to give our audience kind of a definition of who Altered Mom is, because that's kind of your real big project, I guess you could say.
Yeah, Altered by Mom. Yeah.
Yeah. So Altered by Mom, where's the name come from? We all are a little bit altered by our moms.
We're all a little bit altered by mom. So that's what
thing?
What's that?
Is it a seamstress thing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or a biological thing, you know. Yeah. So that's kind of the joke, is that we're all a little altered by mom. But the band name actually came from one point where we were going to throw the can in and just be like, you know, we're that moment, that existential crisis that every artist has, where they're like, no, I'm just going to do the status quo, forget my art, I'm not going to do this anymore. So my partner sent a resume to his mom, like just a work resume, and she sent it back, altered by mom.doc.
Perfect.
That's the heavy.
Yeah. And then we were like, that's the band name.
So I want to digress a little bit in relation to that second verse song that you were struggling with. And you said that you went with the path of least resistance. Mm-hmm. What is that for Gina Kennedy?
Oh, good question. I mean, I think it depends on the song. You know, instead of searching for the thing that you think should fit, you know, trying to put a square peg into a round hole, sometimes the answer is just there, you know? So for example, you know, we had this lyric, and maybe it was a half verse instead of a full verse. And, you know, we really wanted to go with that, but instead of trying to do what we thought was correct, we kind of just went with what we felt. So it was more of just releasing what you think the song should be and allowing the song to be just what it is. Because all it is you're just worried about other people's perception of your art and how they're going to take it. And that's a hole that you can fall in quite often, I feel like, as a person who does try to monetize their art and tries to get it out there. You know, you have to play the game a little bit, which can be so exhausting. And that can seep into your creative process, which I don't think always helps. I think there is a time and a place where you do want to market your music and make it digestible for everybody, but there's times where you just have to be okay with the fact that not everybody's going to like your song. And that's fine. And that's the beautiful part about how many artists there are in the world, because if they don't like my song, they're going to like your song. And that's great. I would love people to like your music just as much as they like mine, you know? So I think that's the hardest hurdle when trying to pitch a song and getting it in front of people, is worrying less about what you should be writing and just write what comes from within.
Great answer.
Thank you.
So with outside of the Altered by Mom stuff, I had mentioned reference to you playing with Monowhales, and I'm also aware that you completed doing a show with Skye Wallace at the Rock the Hub up in Truro.
The show.
So that's right.
You have a few different things going on.
I do, yeah.
Is there a few that we're missing? Or is that...
No, that's pretty much it right now. I have played with other bands in the past. Like there's another friend of mine, Little Coyote, she goes by. So I've played a couple shows with her in the past, and I've played in a bunch of bands, honestly, since I've started my musical journey here in Toronto. I was in a band called the Meerkats at one point. I was in a band called Sista Fista at one point. I was in a band. I've just kind of bounced around to a bunch of different artists and things like that. And but in this last couple of years, so yeah, my buddy Skye, she's great. Check her out if you haven't. Her music is so good. I'm such a fan of her. She's like my sister. She's
that stuff pulls my heartstrings. Holy.
Yeah. She's a
good.
Beautiful lyricist. Yeah. And she's a rocker. Like she's like just so punk on stage, and like she's a joy to play with. Yeah. So we just played Rock the Hub. And she just got signed to 6 Shooter Records, which is very exciting. So
congratulations.
Yeah. She's really killing it. So yeah, so I love playing with that group. You know, that band is like my family. And then Monowhales recently sought me out. They saw me rocking with Skye, and they were like, "We need a bass player." And so yeah, so I'm kind of splitting my time playing more so with Monowhales now. But they're also a fantastic band. They've been grinding for the last 10 years.
Wow.
They're really starting to make some waves. They just released a record back in March. It's so good. They're so nice, like a talented crew of folks. So I really love playing with them as well. They've just been so kind, and they love having me as well. So that's really fun. And we get to play some amazing shows. We've got some really cool ones coming up. Like we're opening for Grandson in like a week and a half.
Cool.
And then, yeah. And we just did like, we opened for Lady Peace and I'm Mother Earth and stuff like a couple weeks ago. So that was really fun too.
Whoa.
And then, yeah, Altered by Mom, we're doing like a big Yamaha thing next week. So at Yamaha headquarters. So yeah, it's busy, but it's exactly what I want to be busy with. So
that's exactly how you want it to go. Absolutely.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
Have you hit the point then, like when you were 19 in Halifax and looking for where you fit in the music scene? You say you moved to Ontario to get more opportunities. So have you hit the original goal yet? Or like we all know that once you hit a goal, you just have a new goal. You just move the goal further away.
That goal's not exciting anymore. So yeah. It's funny, my partner and I were talking about this the other day, and we kind of just had a moment of like, we're doing it, you know, like we're living in the city, we're full-time artists, we're right downtown, you know, like the bills are paid. Like, yeah, it's honestly, I'm very happy with where I am right now. I think that 19-year-old Gina would be like super stoked about
living the dream.
Yeah, I think so. And it's honestly like life is so fun, and I'm very grateful that I get to do this, and I'm grateful to all the bands that have welcomed me into their projects. And yeah, I'm just super grateful for all the opportunities. So.
And any chance you'll be writing with any of these other artists, with Skye or Monowhales in the future? Any talks about that, or is it a little too early?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, we've all talked about doing some co-writes and stuff down the line. It's definitely, you know, COVID makes things a lot harder and stuff like that, and everybody's busy, so just fitting that stuff in. But yeah, now I think we're at the point now, especially Altered by Mom, where we want to, like, I've already written probably like 10 more songs in the last year, but yeah, but I definitely want to get in and do a lot of co-writes. Like I have most of my friends are in the music industry anyway, so it's just kind of something fun that we can do together. And yeah, so yeah, definitely lots of co-writes in the future for sure.
Awesome. Some people get together and play board games. You write albums.
Yeah, we write music. Whoa. Yeah. Not to say it's not fun. There's a couple of beers and maybe a couple doobies in there too. So.
Always, for sure. So let's take it back to Rock the Hub here for a moment, because that was, in my opinion, that's a hell of a venue, buddy. The lineup
it was amazing.
Stellar. Like we're talking like our breakfast cereal as children growing up. Oh well,
yeah,
Billy Talent, these kinds of things, right?
Sam Roberts, yeah,
exactly. So highlights or highlight, what was the biggest highlight of the show? And also on the other side of that coin, you know, maybe we even start with, what was the low light? What was the hardest part about that show for you?
Oh, interesting.
That weekend.
Yeah, definitely. I think the hardest part for everyone in the arts right now is COVID.
Right.
I think, you know, most of the venues are only half capacity right now. It discourages people from coming out to shows. It makes getting together with your bandmates a lot more difficult. Travel, like we all had to fly. So, you know, and flying with instruments is always tricky. So that I think was the low light of it all. But also on the flip side, COVID has kind of put into perspective how important music is.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it's kind of a double-edged sword where it does, you know, it's ruined a bunch of stuff, but it's also made us appreciate it. And I think it makes people hungry for the music that they once had that's not readily accessible to them anymore. So that
Sessions was born. I get it, buddy.
Yeah, totally. Right. So, and everyone's so like, I mean, I played a show at the Horseshoe here a couple weeks ago, and a family friend of ours stopped us and he was like, I know you haven't played music in a while, but we haven't seen music and this is for us. And I was like, yeah, for sure. Like, I get that, you know, and that's so great. And I think, so that was really wonderful. And I mean, you know, Skye's going on tour with Crownlands in the fall. And so catching their set was amazing. Those two are just such incredible artists. And then Sam Roberts, of course, we got to watch his show Side Stage. I'm going on tour with him in November.
Cool.
With Monowhales. Yeah, so watching those guys, I mean, they're such pros, like just so effortless, and like Sam is just so charismatic on stage, and just, you know, like that's what I aspire to be, right? Like it's just like watching him do his thing on stage, like, and night after night. Like I've got the chance to play with Sam a couple times in the past, and they're all just so gracious and so kind, and like same with Matt Mays too. Like I would equate them at the same kind of table there. Like they're like Matt too has just like, we did a tour with him last year, or I guess in the before times when the last year that counted, and same thing, like he had us up on stage every night, like playing, like closing out the show with him, whichever like venue we were at, and it was just like, yeah, it's just that never gets old.
Yeah, no kidding. And in terms of, you know, watching them and wanting to aspire to them, Gina, the videos and things that I saw that were sent to me over the weekend, you're there, bud. You're making it look effortless, and you are truly professional. What you guys are doing is just so good.
Thank you, man. Thank you
for sharing it with the world, bud, for real.
Thank you. Well, I'm so happy to be here and that you guys asked me to be on. So this is great.
Are you gonna be down this way? Like, I know you were just here on the weekend.
Yeah, I know, right?
You mentioned Sam Roberts and Monowhales touring, and that made me immediately think, is there any East Coast dates?
I don't think I'm allowed to say.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. You cannot deny nor confirm East Coast.
Yes, I can neither deny nor confirm.
That's fair.
When we see the dates, we will be writing you to bug you if there's not.
Yes.
Please do.
You and Sam on Jam Sessions couch, please.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, I would love to make that happen.
Awesome. So what's something that we should expect out of the Altered by Mom camp? Are you guys having any shows coming up? Any tours?
We do, actually. So we've got a big, so Yamaha, we're Yamaha artists. So Yamaha is doing a big back to live thing next week, and it's going all week. It's live streamed concerts. So Skye's doing one, we're doing one. I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head who the other bands are, but I know they're going to be great. So I believe that's happening as of like Tuesday or Wednesday. But those are going to be like really pro live streamed shows, so definitely check those out, because those are going to be a lot of fun. We have a whole band. We've grabbed a couple folks from some other projects that are going to play along with us, so we've got full band for Altered by Mom for that, so that's going to be really exciting. And then in the new year, we're hoping to do a residency at the Dakota Tavern here in Toronto, so we're going to call it Altered Fest.
I love it.
And we're playing every Tuesday in February. We're just going to bring a whole bunch of pals, lots of secret guests and stuff like that on stage with us, and it's just going to be a whole bunch of fun. So that's coming down the pipe for us.
Did you say that's called the Dakota Tavern?
It's called the Dakota Tavern. Yeah.
That's my daughter's name, and she's wearing the shirt I bought from you.
Oh my God, no way.
She's been rocking it as a part of her pajamas. I've been seeing the logo around the apartment a lot.
Very nice. That's good. Yeah. Altered by Mom, your favorite pajama.
The shirt you're currently wearing, is that a bar?
This is the Alma Combo.
If I'm not mistaken, Andre Petitpas and the Giants are playing there tonight.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
How fortuitous.
I believe they're recording the whole thing. I don't know if it's streaming or if it's just...
Sure, yeah. So Monowhales did a show back in December. Yeah, December, like the last one. We did a live stream show there as well, and they were right when they opened again. So the Alma Combo has been under construction for years, but it's one of those legendary venues here in Toronto. Really? So Michael Weckerly, one of the Shark Tank guys, he reopened it, and he did a great job. It's beautiful inside, and they are all equipped to do live streams and stuff like that now. So it's actually been pretty great during COVID, because lots of bands have gotten in there and been able to do like a pro level live stream just all in-house. So so that's what we did. So he gave us some t-shirts, and that was a really fun night.
And from what I can see from any of the pictures, it to say that it looks nice is an understatement.
Yes,
I know, honestly. Yeah, there's a couple videos on YouTube of Monowhales, our show that night, and they did an amazing job. The whole crew there was so nice. It was in the thick of COVID too, and it was just it was definitely very surreal and kind of eerie to play it, because we would play this rock show and then we would stop a song and it was like dead quiet. We're just like, okay, I guess we're gonna start the next song. Yeah, but we did 2 nights there and it was just a blast. So hopefully we'll get back there soon.
Is there much audience interaction in that kind of environment, or is it just you and the crew and the songs?
Yeah, it's pretty much just us and the crew and the song. And you kind of just have to have faith that people are watching, just kind of like how you guys have it, right? Like when you're doing your show, you kind of just are talking to the people that you hope are listening and watching, right? So that's a big one. And that's what kind of, it's definitely a piece of it is missing, because when you're playing a rock show, you know, you want to exchange sweat and you want to have like these wild things happening and you want to crowd surf and you want, you know, all those
great
stuff.
energy with the audience.
Exactly. And that's, you don't realize how much you miss that as a performer when you play without them. And then you're like, oh, like it's why you do it, you know, like, and so things like Rock the Hub and stuff recently have just been so nice because there's people there and we can just interact and have a good time. And
get that buzz again.
Yeah, exactly. And vice versa. Like, I think it works both ways, right?
Absolutely does.
Yeah. So that's been really nice lately. So hopefully we can keep going along this train.
Sweet. So close your eyes for a moment. You're sitting around a campfire. You've got an acoustic guitar in your hand. What's your go-to song for the campfire?
Oh, that's a good one. Actually, the last time we did that, we did July 1st show at this camp called Camp Tamaqua. And Skye and Devin and I did a 3-part harmony song of hers that's going to be out on the new record coming out soon, but it's called Keeper. It's this beautiful song that she wrote. So the 3 of us did that in 3-part harmony as she played guitar, and it was just like, I hope the video comes out at some point because it was just like such a nice moment. But recently Chaos was there that night too, and he did one with his buddy Jasper on a little drum machine that he had there, and it's so good. I believe that he posted it recently, so if you get a chance, go check that out because it's so good. He did such a good job.
The Chaos?
Yeah, the Chaos.
That's,
yeah.
What?
I mentioned that on
it's like she's just mentioning like her friend Fred.
But,
and Chaos was there, whatever.
That's the setup I mentioned.
So cool, dude.
when we interviewed Jordan Mackey.
Right.
I was mentioning that we had a local rapper on, and I was mentioning about Chaos doing acoustic sets.
Yeah. It was so
really
good.
Cool concept.
Yeah. And to watch him do that broken down and stuff, it was just like, it was so awesome. And then him and Jasper too, like they've been playing together for a long time, and just to watch them just be pals, and like they were kind of like, you know, playing little jokes on each other like during the set and stuff. It was really good. So that's, I mean, if I could pull off what Chaos pulls off, that's the song that I would do. But yeah, and then I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. I'd have to, I mean, like there's a couple of like slow Paramore songs that I really like Hayley Williams is amazing, like I love her. You know, yeah, I don't know, I'd probably find some Maritimer song to do, you know.
The year was 17.
Yeah, Barrett's Privateers, yeah. Maybe not that one, but
not the guitar anyway.
Yeah, I do some like some Anne Murray or something. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about living in the city compared to living here? Because it's a stark difference, buddy. I did my time in some cities, and here I am back here. What's the biggest difference, and or maybe what's the thing that you miss maybe from living here compared to living in the city? Because the city is amazing. You've got these people, these resources, and all of these other, you know, support systems that artists love and need. Is there a stark contrast between there and here? And if for people that are here, what kind of advice maybe would you give them to help out with those lackings or those, you know, those things that we don't have?
Yeah, great question. Totally. I mean, the first thing that pops into my mind is, you know, the ocean. I grew up right on the water down in Abercrombie. So I definitely miss being able to get to the ocean anytime that I want. Definitely took that for granted growing up as a kid, and how beautiful it is out there, especially Pictou County. I mean, it's just, I love coming home. And I couldn't come home for almost 2 years when it was COVID because the borders were closed, and COVID just went wild out here. So that was the longest time I had spent away from home, and it really rocked me. Like I had no idea how much I missed it and how much I needed like just to be by the water. And it's all just part of us so much. And my family too. That's another big part that I missed, because I'm like one of the only ones that really have moved away. Lots of my family have moved to different parts and stuff, but my immediate family, you know, my brother's in Alberta, but I'm here and everybody else is back home. So, you know, the family aspect, you know, lots of people on holidays and stuff, when they're in the city, they go and see their families, and, you know, like I can't do that. Right. So that was definitely a big adjustment when I first moved here. Lots of lonely holidays. Like I spent my first Christmas alone, and, you know, that kind of stuff. And like, that stuff's hard. As opposed to what Toronto has. I do love Toronto now that I've been here for a while. It does take a few years, I find, to break a city. Like I always say, it takes 5 years to break a city. You know, and that's with your friends and where you fit and all that kind of stuff. So now here, I mean, I have friends that also have family in other places. So now they've kind of become a different kind of family here. And we all really lean on each other, especially in the arts too. Like there's something beautiful about having just a group of folks who are just making art and trying to make a living doing it. And we all help each other when we can. And I'm so grateful for all those friends, like the whole Skye Wallace band and stuff like that. Like they are family, you know, and so that's lovely. And the biggest thing here, because I've moved back home a couple times, like I was on East Coast FM for a while, and, you know, I was trying to make it work kind of thing, but there's just so much opportunity here for artists to make a living. And that's the crappy part about it. Like I wish universal basic income was a thing, because I feel like so many people from here would move back home because you wouldn't have to pay the bills. You know, you could create and do the things that you would like to do without worrying about having a meal or like paying for rent and stuff, you know? So, and I mean, Toronto definitely could do a lot more for its artists. They love to say that they're a music city, but like they don't, I mean, they do some stuff. Like there are some, like Factor is like a grant program here that's amazing. You know, there's Music Ontario is amazing. You know, Emmy is a good friend of mine who runs Music Ontario. She's fantastic. There's lots of like ways to help artists out and stuff. But yeah, that's definitely one of the things that I wish the East Coast had, because the East Coast is so musical. Like everybody there is just bursting with talent. Literally. You know, it's not do you play, it's what do you play? Mm-hmm. And every time I go back home, you know, I'm always like, there's going to be music, like just be ready for it, you know, like wherever we go. And sure enough, anytime I go, there's always people sitting around a campfire or sitting in the kitchen and the guitars are out, you know, and that's just part of what we do, right? So, and I will say like New Glasgow, especially like in Pictou County area, like, you know, thanks to the Elkhorns and, you know, thanks to like the good people that are around, you know, we do have a really good music community there, which I'm grateful for, like the Jubilee and stuff like that. Like the fact that we have that in our town is pretty great. So, yeah. And I mean, as far as, you know, yeah, what we could have, I mean, I think it's just volume of people at the end of the day. Like, I think there's just more people to come to shows and there's just more room for little bars to survive, you know, whereas again, like in New Glasgow, like, you know, there's no seahorse and there's no horseshoe because I don't know if it could survive, you know.
We have done like the last year the commune back.
Yes, the commune. I was gonna say, so that's good. And like, you know, we used to have Fibbers and like that was amazing. Like Fibbers I used to always go to and like play some songs. Yes, I did. Yeah. I saw oh man, I just met him like one of the last times I was home. Really good guitar player that plays at the Spot all the time. No, Paul? I don't know. Pat? Yeah. Pat. Yes. Pat yes. Thank you. Yes. He was so great. So I got to go to the Spot and watch Pat, and he was amazing. And so kind, such a nice fella.
That's an understatement.
Yeah. Oh, completely. Exactly. So yeah. So, you know, like, that's what I mean. Like I think that Pictou County has a lot to offer. I just think it's on a smaller scale. And even the Monarch, like Mary Stewart, like shout out to Mary, like bringing all that home. Like she's amazing. And like, she's such a great artist in her own right. And, you know, the fact that like she has all these artists coming in and, you know, helping out with the Jubilee and stuff like that too. Like, you know, that's what New Glasgow needs. And I think that like, again, the flip side of COVID was a lot of people moved home. And I think that it breathed new life into New Glasgow again, you know?
I am worried that we don't have the population, kind of to your point, we don't have the population to support all the venues that we have right now. And with COVID still being a thing, it may not even be a marketing problem. It might just be that you can't get the people to come and
Butts
you can't
and
hold
seats.
them in.
I think that's what it is, honestly, a lot of it. And, you know, and people have young families and it's harder to get out when you do and stuff. And I totally get that. Like, there's just not that young person infrastructure there. There's not like the jobs and stuff. And it's all like chicken egg. Like, what is it? Is it the opportunity or is it the people? Like, we don't, you know, so yeah, I mean, I would move back home in a second if I had all the opportunities I had here, for sure. I miss it every day.
If you were to give people a song that describes Altered by Mom, kind of that one song that you were to send into space so the aliens could figure out who you guys were, what would that song be? And would it be cool if we inserted it here in the show?
Absolutely. Let me think. Out of all the songs that we do, one of our first songs called Body Feels Weird. That's pretty autobiographical.
Okay. Body Feels Weird right here on Jam Sessions with our guest this week, Gina Kennedy, from lots of bands. But this one that we're going to listen to right here, right now, is called Altered by Mom.